Words have power. They shape how we view the world, how others perceive us, and most importantly, how we perceive ourselves. Have you ever caught yourself saying something negative and felt the sting linger long after? Maybe it was subtle, hidden behind humor or indifference, but it struck a nerve. Imagine what would happen if you could remove these harmful phrases from your vocabulary altogether. How much lighter would life feel? How much more intentional and powerful could your thoughts become? It's not just about silencing negative self-talk, though. Stoicism teaches us that our language reflects our inner world. Toxic phrases have a way of echoing deeper beliefs that pull us away from peace, away from the person we truly want to be. And these words seep not only into our self-perception, but into how we relate to others, damaging relationships, holding us back, and fostering negativity. So, how do you stop yourself from feeding into these harmful cycles? Let's take a deep dive into 7 of the most damaging phrases, unpack why they're toxic, and explore what happens when we banish them from our lives, replacing them with words that inspire growth and resilience. Stoic philosophy, after all, encourages us to align our speech with rational thought and self-discipline. It's time to cut out these 7 poisonous lines for good. 1. I don't have time. How many times have you found yourself saying this in a moment of frustration? Whether you're telling yourself this as an excuse or sharing it with someone as a reason for your inaction, it's an incredibly limiting mindset. We all get 24 hours in a day, but some seem to make time for what matters, while others feel perpetually rushed. What's the difference? By constantly saying, "I don't have time," you subtly declare that life is happening to you rather than realizing that you are in control of your time. Instead, Stoicism asks you to face the truth. It's not that you don't have time, it's that you aren't prioritizing what's essential. Marcus Aurelius said, "You could leave life right now." Let that determine what you do and say and think. When you recognize the preciousness of time, you start to become more intentional. Imagine catching yourself in that moment and choosing a different phrase. This isn't a priority right now. Doesn't it feel more honest? When you say it like this, it also pushes you to ask, should it be a priority? A friend of mine used to complain that she didn't have time to exercise or read, but every night she'd binge-watch TV shows until midnight. One day she admitted that it wasn't about time, it was about avoidance. She wasn't prioritizing her health or growth because the routine of distractions was easier. Once she shifted her language, her actions followed. She now makes time for a daily run and finishes 2 books a month. Change your language, change your reality. 2. That's just the way I am. This phrase is often thrown around as an excuse for not changing, as though you're locked into a version of yourself that can't evolve. But is that really true? When you say, "That's just the way I am," you refuse to allow growth. You shut the door on potential. Stoicism teaches us that the only constant in life is change, and we must adapt. By claiming that you are rigidly set in your ways, you deny yourself the opportunity to improve. Seneca wrote, "Most powerful is he who has himself in his own power." Are you really powerless against your habits and tendencies, or are you afraid to confront the discomfort that comes with growth? Let's say you have a short temper, and after a heated argument with someone close, you brush it off with, "That's just how I am." But what would happen if instead you examined the root of your temper? What if you accepted that you could be better, more patient, more understanding? Admitting that you are capable of change is a massive first step towards self-mastery. Don't hide behind complacency. Evolve. 3. I deserve better. The entitlement wrapped in this phrase can often breed resentment and bitterness. While it's important to know your worth, constantly telling yourself, "I deserve better," implies that the world owes you something. But here's the Stoic truth. Life owes you nothing. This might sound harsh, but it's freeing when you fully understand it. Epictetus reminds us, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. This means focusing on what you can control rather than feeling owed. Stoicism teaches us to accept what comes our way and make the best of it, rather than sitting around waiting for the world to give us what we think we deserve. Imagine being passed over for a promotion. Telling yourself, "I deserve better," only fuels your frustration. Instead, a Stoic would ask, "What can I learn from this situation? How can I improve myself for the next opportunity?" The shift in mindset allows you to grow rather than getting stuck in a cycle of resentment. Entitlement weakens, gratitude empowers. 4. I can't do it. Self-limiting beliefs are toxic. Every time you utter the words, "I can't do it," you reinforce the boundaries of what you believe is possible. You begin to condition yourself into thinking small, into settling for less. But Stoicism challenges this mindset. The Stoics believed that most of our limits are mental. If you tell yourself you can't, you're placing the chains on your own potential. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself that it's within our power to choose our responses and actions. You can't control the outcome, but you can always choose to try. When you say, "I can't," ask yourself, is it true? Or am I just scared of failing? What's the worst that could happen? Years ago, I was convinced I couldn't speak in public. Just the thought of it gave me anxiety. But the more I told myself, "I can't do it," the more I reinforced that fear. One day, I decided to stop saying it. I started small, speaking in front of a few people, and then gradually, my confidence grew. Now, public speaking is one of my greatest strengths. Don't chain yourself to the ground when you're capable of flight. 5. They made me feel this way. When you say, "They made me feel this way," you hand over your power to others. You become a puppet to someone else's behavior, blaming them for your emotional state. But Stoicism teaches us to reclaim our autonomy. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Your feelings are yours, and how you respond is your responsibility. No one makes you feel anything. Your emotions are within your control, even when it doesn't seem that way. By blaming others for how you feel, you weaken your emotional resilience. Instead, acknowledge the feeling and then choose your response. This is where true strength lies. Let's say someone insulted you at work. Rather than reacting with, "They made me angry," pause and ask, "Why does this comment bother me? Am I giving their opinion too much power?" When you realize that you are in charge of your emotional response, you no longer let other people dictate how you feel. Take ownership of your emotions. Don't let others steer your ship. 6. I'm too old for this. Age is often used as a convenient excuse for not trying something new, for giving up on dreams, or for staying in a comfort zone. But is age really a barrier? Or is it just a story we tell ourselves? Stoicism teaches that age should never limit the pursuit of wisdom or growth. Seneca himself famously wrote letters of advice in his later years, proving that learning and adapting never stop. The idea of being too old is just another mental barrier, another way of saying, "I'm afraid of failure." When you catch yourself saying this phrase, stop and consider. Would you rather be older and stagnant, or older and constantly evolving? There's a man I know who started painting at 60. For years, he convinced himself he was too old to start something creative. One day, he just stopped saying it. Now, in his late 70s, he exhibits his artwork in galleries. Age didn't limit him, his mindset did. Don't let time slip by because of a false belief. 7. It's too late now. Perhaps the most toxic phrase of them all. It's too late now suggests that there's a cutoff point for chasing dreams or making changes. But Stoicism encourages us to embrace every moment as an opportunity. There's never a too late as long as you're alive. Every moment is a chance to improve, to start fresh, to reinvent yourself. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Think of yourself as dead. You have lived your life. Now, take what's left and live it properly." There's an urgency in his words that reminds us that the past doesn't dictate the future. You can begin again right now. Whether it's too late to fix a relationship, pursue a career change, or start a new habit, ask yourself, who says it's too late? More often than not, it's a self-imposed limitation. Life is a series of new beginnings, not a timeline of finality. The only time it's too late is when you decide to give up. Conclusion. So, stop these toxic phrases now. Replace them with empowerment. Embrace the discomfort of change. Trust in your capacity to grow. Every time you catch yourself reverting to an old toxic phrase, see it as an opportunity to practice Stoicism. You can't control what happens to you, but you can control how you speak to yourself. And in doing so, you reshape your reality. This isn't about positivity for positivity's sake. It's about aligning your language with your values, with rational thought, and with the disciplined mind that Stoicism champions. It's about recognizing that your words are a reflection of your mindset, and if your words change, so too can your life. The next time you find yourself reaching for one of these 7 toxic phrases, pause, breathe, and choose differently. It's not too late to start. It's never too late to change.